Welcome back to Cinematic Cravings. Today we're diving into one of the darkest and most exciting rumors in the MCU, as the Marvel Cinematic Universe gears up to fully embrace the multiverse with Secret Wars and Doomsday. The Dark Avengers rumors are getting stronger by the day. One of the most talked about fan theories was Chris Evans' return as Captain Hydra. But the latest leaks have taken the excitement to the next level. The possibility of Dark Doctor Strange and a Venom suit Spider-Man is now looking more real than ever. So, will we actually see these characters in the MCU? If these rumors turn out to be true, Marvel might be preparing to introduce us to an entirely different Avengers team. But before we get into the details, I realize that most of you have already watched and passed by, but subscribing and liking is free. Come on, let's be generous. Subscribe to the channel and like the video so we can grow together. Let's get started. Let's take a moment to think. What would a Dark Avengers team look like? In the comics, this team was often a government-assembled version of the Avengers, made up of villains or anti-heroes. However, the MCU might take a different approach. Characters like Captain Hydra, Dark Doctor Strange, and Venom suit Spider-Man might not be outright villains, but instead alternate versions of heroes from other universes. Imagine a scenario where they are not entirely evil, but rather heroes in their own worlds who have chosen a more ruthless path. If Marvel brings this story to life, it could exceed all expectations. First up, the biggest rumor of all, Chris Evans returning as Captain Hydra. In the comics, during the Secret Empire storyline, Steve Rogers was brainwashed by Hydra and became one of their greatest leaders. But what if the MCU changes the narrative entirely? What if Captain Hydra is actually a hero in his own universe? Picture a world where Hydra isn't an evil force, but rather the organization maintaining order. Captain Hydra could simply be an alternate leader who might even leave his own reality to join the Avengers in the main timeline. This could be the perfect way to bring Steve Rogers back into action. Now, let's talk about Dark Doctor Strange. We've already seen twisted versions of Doctor Strange in both the comics and the What If animated series. However, I believe the MCU might handle this character differently. What if this Dark Strange isn't truly evil? Maybe he has simply chosen to harness dark dimension energies to become stronger. Even the Ancient One admitted to drawing power from the dark dimension, so perhaps Dark Strange takes it one step further, believing it's the only way to protect his universe. If that's the case, he could become one of the most fascinating characters in the MCU. And of course, we can't forget about Venom suit Spider-Man. Ever since No Way Home, fans have been eagerly waiting to see Spider-Man don the black suit. However, instead of making Peter Parker fully embrace the dark side, the MCU might introduce a version who hasn't lost control just yet, one who is still in command, but far more aggressive than usual. In the comics and games, the Venom suit makes Peter more ruthless, violent, and brooding. But what if this version hasn't completely succumbed to the symbiote's control? If the MCU adds this Spider-Man to Dark Avengers, we'd be looking at a team that's far more complex than traditional heroes. If the Dark Avengers aren't just made up of outright villains, but instead heroes who have taken more brutal paths, then the team would align more with the anti-hero concept. Marvel has already been testing fan interest in anti-heroes by focusing on characters like Venom, Deadpool, and Loki. Now, with Secret Wars and Doomsday on the horizon, Marvel has the perfect opportunity to take this concept to the next level. With the multiverse fully open, introducing alternate versions of iconic characters has never been easier. So who else could join the Dark Avengers? We already have three intriguing names: Captain Hydra, Dark Doctor Strange, and Venom suit Spider-Man. But based on existing MCU setups, we might also see characters like Black Widow, Yelena Belova, who could take on a more ruthless leadership role in Natasha Romanoff's absence. We'll see more of her in Thunderbolts, but if the Dark Avengers form, she could be a key member. Another possibility is a darker version of Thor, a more aggressive, alternate variant inspired by Ragnarok from the comics. If the MCU introduces this kind of Dark Thor, the Dark Avengers could become an unstoppable force. Then there's Sentry, Marvel's equivalent of Superman, but much more unstable and dangerously powerful. The MCU has yet to introduce Robert Reynolds, a character known for his constant struggle between heroism and destruction. If Sentry enters the MCU, tying him to the Dark Avengers would be the perfect move. A Captain Hydra-led alternate Avengers team could be one of the MCU's boldest ideas yet. With Chris Evans' return, we might see a radically different but intriguing leader. And if Marvel brings in characters from alternate universes, we could even witness inner conflicts within the Avengers team itself. Imagine this. What if the heroes we know in the MCU were forced to face their darker, more ruthless, alternate versions from different universes? Doctor Strange battling his own dark counterpart, Spider-Man going up against his black suit version, and Thor perhaps facing a corrupt alternate version of himself. This could turn Secret Wars and Doomsday into something truly epic. And at the core of this theory, one of the strongest supporting factors could be none other than the Russo brothers. Having masterfully handled dozens of characters in Infinity War and Endgame, if the Russos were to return, they could be the perfect directors to introduce the Dark Avengers. Their storytelling style balances massive battles and character development flawlessly, making them ideal for such a project. The first possibility is that the Dark Avengers emerge as a villainous team. Secret Wars and Doomsday are bound to be filled with large-scale battles, and one of their main focuses could be the clash of heroes from different universes. If Captain Hydra, Doctor Strange, and Venom suit Spider-Man appear as enemies to the main Avengers team, Secret Wars could escalate into an even bigger crisis. However, the second scenario suggests that the Dark Avengers might serve as a bridge between heroes and anti-heroes. These characters might initially be introduced as enemies, but could later ally with the Avengers to fight a greater threat. The MCU has already experimented with the concept of anti-heroes through characters like Loki, Venom, and Deadpool, paving the way for the Dark Avengers to be framed as more than just villains. Now the big question, should the Dark Avengers be a film or a series? If Marvel wants to introduce them as a major event, a full-length feature film would be the best option. However, for deeper character exploration and long-term storytelling, a Disney Plus series could also be a strong possibility. Looking at Marvel's past major events, the most logical time to introduce the Dark Avengers would be after Secret Wars. Since Secret Wars is set to bring together characters from multiple universes and reshape the multiverse, it would provide the perfect opportunity for Marvel to organically introduce a team like the Dark Avengers. So, should Marvel really bring the Dark Avengers into the MCU? If done right, this could become one of the most fascinating stories in the franchise. But if executed poorly, it could worsen Marvel's recent struggle with too many characters, not enough focus. That's why it's crucial for the Dark Avengers to be introduced with a strong and well-crafted storyline. If the Dark Avengers do make their way into the MCU, it would mark a massive shift for the entire cinematic universe. But what do you think? Would you want to see Captain Hydra, Doctor Strange, and Venom suit Spider-Man come to life on screen? Drop your thoughts in the comments below so we can discuss together. And if you love theories like this, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel for the latest Marvel updates. Stay tuned for even bigger theories and in-depth analysis. See you in the next video.